What Caitlin Clark did, because so many eyeballs were on her, was she is a huge multiplier effect of that.
I see a lot of players wanting to go, in this offseason, a lot of players are going to want to go to the Fever.
Picture this. You're at an Indiana Fever game, and the crowd goes wild as Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aliyah Boston, Lexie Hull, and Satou Sabally take the court together. Sounds too good to be true?
I'm just trying to think of who potentially could be in their plans. Like, obviously, Satou Sabally is a potential player who you can get via some sort of trade, via sign and trade.
GM Amber Cox just gave an interview that has fans buzzing about this exact scenario. Let's break down what she said and why it's got everyone thinking the Fever might be building a WNBA super team. The new GM did not hold back on this one, and we're covering it all in this video. Talking about Clark's Time Magazine Athlete of the Year honor, free agency, and what the Fever are doing to make them a championship team. Are you ready? Let's go.
I think we're obviously at this very pivotal time in the WNBA, and obviously led by the Indiana Fever. But I think all those experiences will lend themselves to hopefully doing the best job possible here.
Amber Cox just dropped hints about the Fever's offseason strategy, and it's got fans buzzing. In a recent interview, Cox opened up about her vision for shaping the team's future. As the new GM, she's not just making moves. She's orchestrating a complete transformation.
I think the entire world was shocked during the WNBA expansion draft when Tammy Fagbenle became available, especially because when you look at last season, she played a really huge part in the Fever's success in terms of getting to that point where you all were able to make the playoffs.
Let's talk about Tammy Fagbenle. Cox's comments about not protecting her in the expansion draft caught everyone off guard. It's not every day you see a team willingly let go of a solid contributor, but Cox had this to say.
You know, it's really part of an overall plan, which hopefully everyone will see unfold throughout the offseason.
This group obviously built great camaraderie in the second half of the season, so that was not an easy decision. It's clear there's more to this story than meets the eye. Here's where things get really interesting. Cox hinted at a bigger plan for the Fever. She teased fans with this cryptic message. It's really part of an overall plan, which hopefully everybody will see unfold during the offseason. What could she be up to? Is there a blockbuster trade in the works? Or maybe a high-profile free agent signing? Cox isn't new to this game. She's got a track record of success in the WNBA, having helped guide the Phoenix Mercury to 2 championships. Her experience shines through in her approach to building a winning culture. She's focused on creating a team identity, emphasizing the need to improve defensively. We're still developing the identity. Getting better on the defensive side of the ball will help shape who we become over the next year or two, Cox explained.
So obviously we want to take the next step. So I think as we're looking to free agency, we'll think about veterans coming in with that playoff experience.
Now, let's talk about the Fever's financial situation. They've got about $650,000 in cap space to play with this offseason. That's enough flexibility to make some serious moves, including potentially offering max contracts to key players. Cox is clearly thinking big, targeting versatile players who can contribute on both ends of the court.
Obviously, as we get into free agency, the number one priority for us is re-signing Kelsey Mitchell. I think that backcourt was about as lethal as we've seen in the WNBA, and I'm talking maybe in history in the second half of the season last year.
But the biggest news? It's all about Kelsey Mitchell. Cox put all the rumors to rest, stating clearly, "We want Kelsey back. She's had an incredible career here. No one deserves this opportunity to be a part of this success more than Kelsey." It looks like the Fever are going all in on keeping their star guard. While it hasn't been officialized yet since free agency has not yet begun, the Fever management have confirmed they will core Kelsey, which means she is guaranteed to come back for a year under a max contract.
So we want to reunite Caitlin and Kelsey. And Kelsey, when I think about her and her time in Indiana, and, you know, a lot of trials and tribulations throughout her career. So for me and for us, I'm most excited for her to be in this moment and experience so much success.
So, what's next for the Fever? With Cox at the helm, it seems like we're in for an exciting offseason. But as the team builds towards its future, there's another story that's got everyone talking. Caitlin Clark, the Fever's superstar point guard, just landed on the cover of Time Magazine as Athlete of the Year, and not everyone's happy about it. Let's dive into the controversy that's taking the basketball world by storm.
Caitlin Clark was recently named Times Athlete of the Year.
You might think being named Athlete of the Year is all glory and praise. For Caitlin Clark, it's turned into an unexpected battle. As the basketball world takes sides, one voice is cutting through the noise with a perspective that might change how you see this whole situation. Caitlin Clark's appearance on the cover of Time magazine as Athlete of the Year should have been a moment of celebration for women's basketball. Instead, it sparked a fierce debate that's exposing deep divisions in the sport. At the center of this controversy, Washington Mystics co-owner Sheila Johnson.
And Washington Mystics co-owner Sheila Johnson, responded to that by saying, I think the WNBA in its entirety should have been featured.
Johnson didn't hold back, criticizing Time's decision to feature Clark alone on the cover. She argued that the entire WNBA should have been recognized instead. When you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings, Johnson said. Her words hit like a thunderbolt, sending shockwaves through the basketball community.
Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings.
The backlash was immediate. Fans, players, and analysts jumped to Clark's defense, praising her incredible achievements and the spotlight she's brought to women's basketball. Others sided with Johnson, arguing that focusing too much on one player could overshadow the league's collective success.
How do you respond to those comments, and do you think the award should have been given to the entire WNBA rather than Caitlin Clark individually?
I think Caitlin Clark deserved that award.
But amidst all the noise, one voice stood out: Amber Cox, the Indiana Fever's GM. Cox stepped up to defend Clark, and her words pack a punch. She didn't stop there, explaining how Clark's impact goes far beyond just her on-court performance.
Because she has so many fans, and you saw it across arenas, people are moving games because so many people wanted to see her play.
Cox painted a vivid picture of Clark's influence, saying, "What Caitlin Clark did, because so many eyeballs were on her, she's a huge multiplier effect of the league's current growth." It's not just empty praise. Cox backed it up with a real-life example that shows just how powerful the Caitlin Clark effect really is. And the story you'll hear next will definitely warm your heart. If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we appreciate you. Now back to the action.
But we've never seen anything like Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is a superstar, not a female superstar. She is a superstar.
We were coming to see Caitlin Clark play.
She moves the needle. The WNBA has been looking for someone who moves the needle.
Picture this: a couple shows up to a game drawn in by the buzz around Clark. They're casual fans, maybe even first-timers. By the end of the night, they're walking out with season tickets. That's the kind of impact Clark is having, turning curious onlookers into die-hard supporters with a single game. Cox didn't ignore other rising stars like Angel Reese and Cameron Brink. She gave them their due, acknowledging their contributions to the sport.
Look, I don't take anything away from other players that brought more eyeballs. Angel, Cameron, right? The identity and how much brand recognition these players now have in college absolutely helped the WNBA.
But when it comes to Clark, Cox didn't mince words. We've never seen anything like Caitlin Clark. It's a bold statement, but one that's hard to argue with given Clark's record-breaking performances and the attention she's brought to women's basketball. As the Fever gear up for what could be a transformative offseason, the question on everyone's mind is, how will Clark's star power impact the team's strategy? Speaking of strategy, remember that bigger plan Cox hinted at earlier? Well, it looks like we're about to get our first glimpse of what she had in mind. The Fever just made a move that's left fans scratching their heads, and it might be the key to understanding Cox's master plan for the team's future. Do you want to hear what's next?
Caitlin specifically has such a unique skill set. She loves to run, just incredible vision. Stephanie White sat down right where you are and said, we want to run. So how much are you thinking about the fit here as you close in on free agents?
It's the most important thing, right? You've got to get the players that fit with the system Stephanie wants to have on the floor.
Picture this. You're building a championship team. Do you keep the reliable veteran or roll the dice on future potential? The Indiana Fever just made that choice, and it's got everyone talking. What does Amber Cox know that we don't? Temi Fagbenley's departure from the Fever has left fans in shock.
But also her ability to run the floor with Caitlin Clark and how their games complemented each other. When we think about, that expansion draft, what was the thought process in making her available?
Last season, she was a solid contributor, averaging 6.4 points and 5.7 rebounds per game. Her ability to run the floor with Caitlin Clark created a dynamic duo that helped push the Fever into playoff contention. And let's not forget, Temmie's been a Clark supporter since day one. But now, Fagbenley's heading to the Golden State Valkyries, leaving Fever fans wondering, what's going on?
The expansion draft is difficult. It's hard to lose a player. 6 is not very many when you think about protecting anybody on your roster.
The decision to leave Fagbenley unprotected in the expansion draft sparked intense debate among fans. Some argued her experience and locker room presence were too valuable to lose. Others speculated this might be part of a larger strategy to free up cap space for a big free agent signing. Social media lit up with theories, from trade rumors to concerns about team chemistry. It's clear the Fever's front office grappled with the choice, weighing Fagbenley's contributions against their long-term vision for the team.
It's not easy. You never like to see a player leave. Temmie was obviously an incredible piece to the success last year. But again, it's the price we pay for growth. We're really excited for Golden State to come online. And certainly it was a decision we made, but a decision that wasn't in a vacuum, part of an overall strategy that hopefully everyone will see unfold throughout the offseason.
Fagbenley's exit leaves a noticeable gap in the Fever's roster. Her versatility as a forward who could score, rebound, and block shots will be missed. The team now faces the challenge of finding a player who can fill multiple roles and maintain the chemistry that propelled their late-season surge. Could the Fever be eyeing a high-profile free agent to bolster their front court? Or perhaps they're looking to package their newfound cap space with draft picks, or maybe even Nalissa Smith for a blockbuster trade. The possibilities seem endless, and Cox's confident tone suggests she's holding some pretty good cards. It's clear the Fever are thinking long-term, willing to make tough choices now for future success.
I think the entire world was shocked during the WNBA expansion draft when Temmie Fagbenley became available, especially because when you look at last season, she played a really huge part in the Fever's success in terms of getting to that point where you all were able to make the playoffs.
As the dust settles on Fagbenley's departure, all eyes turn to the Fever's next move. With the free agency period looming, rumors are swirling about potential targets. Who will the Fever pursue to fill the gap left by Fagbenley? And how will this mystery player fit into Cox's grand vision for the team's future? One thing's for sure, the Indiana Fever are just getting started, and the best may be yet to come.
Fit is the most important thing. You got to have somebody that can run up and down the floor and catch those passes Caitlin's going to be throwing.
Free agency fever has hit Indiana, and the symptoms are intense speculation and sky-high expectations. Could the Fever be on the verge of a move that would send shockwaves through the league? Let's break down the clues and see where they lead. The Fever's roster is already shaping up to be formidable, with an all-star trio of Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell, as well as rising star Lexie Hull. They've got a solid foundation, but there's still room for improvement, especially in the front court. That's where things get interesting.
So it's a lot of movement for me this offseason. The decision to change teams. Yeah, so I'll be a free agent this year.
Rumors are swirling about potential free agent targets, and one name keeps popping up: Satou Sabally. The Dallas Wings star is entering free agency, and she's caught the eye of Fever fans and management alike. Sabally averaged an impressive 17.9 points per game last season and shot a blistering 45.2% from three-point range. Her athletic ability and length make her versatile both in the offense and defensive ends of the floor. Talk about a perfect fit for the Fever system. But it's not just her stats that have people talking. Sabally's been engaging with Fever fans on social media, liking comments suggesting she should team up with Caitlin Clark in Indiana. Is this a sign of things to come or just playful social media banter?
Williams slips the pen. Oh, Satou! Get that egg out of our basket.
Dallas needed a little bit of juice, a little bit of energy right there. Thank you for that, Satou.
Amber Cox and the Fever management team are looking for a versatile forward who can score, defend, and add size to their lineup. Sabally checks all those boxes. She can guard multiple positions and has a strong offensive game that would complement the Fever's existing talent perfectly. Of course, nothing's set in stone yet. If the Fever can't land Sabally, they've got backup plans. Players like Gabby Williams, known for her defensive skills and versatility, could also be on their radar. But make no mistake, Sabally seems to be the prime target. And let's not forget that GM Amber Cox used to be Sabally's boss. And that Sabally is signed with the same sports agent as Fever star Aliyah Boston.
Are you in a position where you can add some pieces?
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position. And I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.
The potential impact of adding a player like Sabally to this Fever roster is huge. Imagine a lineup with Clark's playmaking, Boston's inside presence, Mitchell's scoring, and Sabally's all-around game. That's not just a good team. That's a championship contender.
And building quality depth is going to be important. You know, when you have a core three like we have, you know, surrounding them with players who are going to, you know, fill the roles, certainly, first and foremost, who are going to embrace the roles, you know, secondly, and who give us the best opportunities for success by complementing what they do really, really well.
Cox and her team are focused on building more than just a collection of talented players. They're creating a culture of success. Adding a player of Sabally's caliber would be a massive step in that direction. If the Fever pull off this free agency coup, it could reshape the entire WNBA landscape. We're talking about a team that could go from lottery picks to title favorites in the span of one offseason. The rest of the league would have to take notice and step up their game. As we wait for free agency to officially kick off, one thing's clear. The Indiana Fever are done being underdogs. They're building something special, and the basketball world is on high alert. The question now is, will their bold strategy pay off with a championship run?
Caitlin is an amazing generational talent, and she's going to do amazing things. Caitlin is the face right now, and that's also good. She's selling out gyms. Why would you hate against that? We had a sold-out home opener. I think it was a practice game, like it wasn't even serious. We benefited from that because now we have all our fans there, and they're excited, and you have new people coming into a market. She is her own economy, and that is amazing. She's the reflection of what should happen in women's sports.
The Indiana Fever are on the brink of something special. Amber Cox's master plan is coming together, piece by exciting piece. With Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, Lexie Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell, the Fever's core is already turning heads. But the potential addition of a star like Satou Sabally? That could take this team from promising to downright dangerous. That's not just a good team. That's a squad that could compete for a title right now. The excitement in Indiana is palpable. Fans are buzzing about the possibilities, and the rest of the league is taking notice. The Fever are no longer content with being an afterthought. They're aiming for the top, and they're not being subtle about it. So here's the million-dollar question. Are we witnessing the birth of the WNBA's next dynasty? The pieces are falling into place. The talent is undeniable. Now it's just a matter of turning potential into championships. The ride's about to get wild. Are you ready? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.